Well, a question. When you say I, where are you placing it? If I ask you to point, do you point behind the eyes? Do you lower the hand to the chest because the heartbeat insists that you are there? Do you lift it to the head because thoughts seem to originate there? Now pause and do it. Point. And now ask, where precisely is the I that is pointing? Am I a spot behind the forehead? A pulse in the ribs? A whisper between the ears? No. No. Not there. When panic rises, it supposes a location. It imagines a me boxed in, surrounded by skin, and therefore subject to invasion and loss. It believes that a blow to the body is a blow to identity, that a change in sensation is a change in being. But consider this reversal. You cannot lose yourself in the body for the simple reason that you were never in it. You are not imprisoned where you have never been confined. The trembling in the limbs may be intense. The I that knows the trembling is not in the trembling. The storm may rattle the windows. The house is not the wind. So too with you. The body reports. The I is the witness, not the report. Do not accept this as a sentence to memorize. Let it question you. When I say I, how are you going to localize that? Put your attention in the hand. Sensations gather. Are you now only in the hand? Shift to the foot. Are you now only in the foot? Place awareness on breath. Does the I become air? No. Not in the nerves, not in the blood, not in the organs, not in the sensations. The body is experienced, but the experiencer does not arrive as a thing to be touched, measured, or defended. I am not in the physical. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. This is not a doctrine. It is a discovery. And as you taste it, even faintly, the machinery of fear begins to wind down because its engine runs on a lie. Localization. Panic needs a target. It needs a you that can be cornered. It needs a center in matter that can be pierced, or starved, or shamed. But what if the target is not there? What if the I is not a where at all, but that consciousness by which where is known? Then the urge to fortify, to manipulate, to control with clenched fists loosens. Striving falls ill from lack of employment. For whom would we strive when the I cannot be trapped in flesh? I am not saying disregard the body. I am saying do not mistake it for identity. When the mistaken God of locality is laid down, true safety is not achieved by walls, but by recognition. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. In this recognition, there is a warmth, a moral sobriety, and a sure protection, not because I have grown stronger, but because I have ceased pretending to be weak. God is the actor. I am the transparency. Let the inquiry begin there, and let the fear that fed on a false I find nothing to eat. Now hear me. No surgeon has ever found a me inside a body. They have opened skull and chest. They have mapped nerves and measured impulses. They have stitched muscle and set bone, and thank God for the skill that relieves suffering. But in all their faithful looking, no one has taken a pair of forceps and lifted out a self. Arteries? Yes. Neurons? Yes. Patterns of firing? Yes. But the one who knows these is not found as a specimen on the tray. The body can be examined and repaired as an instrument, yet the player is not located in a part. I am not in the physical. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Do not pass over this lightly. Let me ask you, if the hand hurts, who knows it? The ache appears in tissue, but does the knower ache? If the stomach tightens, who notices the tension? If the heart races, who hears the drum? If the mind storms with pictures and words, so many words, who is aware that there is a storm? The knower is not the known. The witness is not the wave. Sensation is reported. Thought is reported. The eye that knows is not the report. No. No. Not in the nerves, not in the blood, not in the thoughts. You are not a pain. You are that by which pain is known. You are not a thought. You are that by which thought is noticed as coming and going. Follow this a step more. When a mood floods, it says, "I am despair." But is that true? Or is there an awareness in which despair is seen as a color that will not remain? When elation lifts, it says, "I am safe forever." But is that so? Or is there an unwavering presence that recognizes elation and lets it pass? If you can observe it, you are not it. If you can name it, it is appearing to you. The observer is not captured by the observed, even while tender with it. The sky is not the cloud, though clouds adorn the sky. So with you. Why is this not mere philosophy? Because the instant the I is no longer identified as a bodily object, fear loses its address. Panic mails its threats to a location that does not receive them. The envelope returns stamped. No one at this address. When the body is no longer enthroned as a god, it is finally free to be a good servant, cared for, respected, but not worshipped, not feared as the keeper of your life. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. In that oneness, you do not become careless, you become clear. God is the actor and doer and beer. You are the transparency through which life flows. And as this recognition dawns, striving thins, because the one who strained to protect a localized me is discovered to be a shadow. The real I was never inside the skin. It is the light by which the skin is known. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Do not relegate that to a funeral text. It is not an announcement of departure. It is a statement of consciousness. It means now. It declares that presence awakens as soon as the I stops attempting to sit behind the eyes or pound inside the ribs. It says that when you are no longer trying to live as a point in flesh, you find yourself as presence itself, aware, unconfined, and at peace. I am not in the physical, absent from the body, present with the Lord. Now do not fear the phrase, absent from the body. It is not floating off like vapor. It is not dissociating, not a going numb, not a turning away from the instrument entrusted to your care. It is the simple ceasing to pin the word I on a dot of matter. It is the end of the superstition that identity can be pointed to with a finger. When the pin is removed, life does not collapse, it opens. The room is not emptied, it is recognized as space. In just that way, when the I is no longer hammered into a location, consciousness is felt as spacious, choicelessly present, attentive without tension. Have you noticed how striving begins? The shoulders creep up, the jaw sets, the breath is managed. And inwardly a refrain whispers, I must hold myself together. That is the body sense speaking. That is the I as object pleading for assembly and defense. Fix me, guard me, improve me, display me. But who is this me that needs assembling? If the I is not an object, it cannot be put together, and it cannot fall apart. If the I is not a thing, it cannot be threatened as a thing. The moment this is not merely said, but felt, striving loses its employment. The custodian arrives to lock a building that is already open air. No, no. There is nothing to bolt when there are no walls. Then comes a quiet recognition. So quiet it can be missed by a mind addicted to drama. The safety you seek is not produced by the body. Safety is not manufactured by breath rate, muscle tone, or posture. Those may reflect harmony, but they do not confer it. Safety is revealed by releasing the false location. In my oneness with God, I find security. In my oneness with God, I find sufficiency. In my oneness with God, I find rest. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. God is the actor. I am the transparency. Be still and know that I am God. Do not make of this a technique to muscle your way into peace. It is the notice, the holy notice, that the I has never been in the body to be rescued from it. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Present, not absent. Awake, not withdrawn. Tenderly available to the instrument without bowing to it as a god. And as this becomes the felt fact, presence becomes natural, and fear becomes needless. Panic cannot find your address because you are not an address. You are that awareness in which addresses appear and disappear, while you remain, unlocalized, unafraid, and quietly, steadfastly, lovingly, here. Now let us be very simple. Take a chair low enough that both feet rest fully on the floor. Do not cross them. Let the back be supported, but not slouched, upright, without rigidity. Place the hands loosely in the lap, neither gripping nor propping. Let the arms hang from the shoulders without weight on armrests. Close the eyes softly, as if listening with them. Do not arrange the breath. Do not count it. Do not tame it. If the head likes to tip slightly forward, let it. If the jaw wishes to unclench, let it. There is no occult reason for any of this, only comfort enough that the body will subside from the forefront of attention. We are not here to use a posture to reach God. We are allowing the instrument to be quiet so that awareness is not constantly summoned to its dials and levers. This is the purpose. Not to fix the body, not to correct the breath, not to spiritualize flesh. We are removing the body from the center of the stage until it ceases to define identity. If a sound passes, let it pass. It is not a message to the I. If an itch asks for a narrative, scratch it or do not, but do not turn it into a story about you. You are not behind the eyes negotiating sensation. I am not in the physical. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. In this sitting, the body is acknowledged as a good servant. It is relieved of the throne. Now we practice receptivity, desireless, unhurried, unaimed. Do not try to reach God. Do not try to heal anything. Do not try to manufacture peace. Wait. Be still and know that I am God. The instant the mind lunges, I must get there, I must achieve the click. You may smile gently. No, no, not a bit. That is the ego's attempt to become spiritual. Effort is the self trying to crown itself with light. Receptivity is the surrender that allows light to reveal itself. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. I do not make it so. I discover it so, by not interfering. If thoughts parade, let them. If emotion surges, let it surge. Do not argue, do not bargain. If a word is helpful, let it be only a soft remembrance, not a charm. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Whisper it within once or twice, and then fall back into listening. Listening to what? To no thing. To the silence that is before sound and after it. To that still presence which does not arrive and does not depart. In that listening, the felt center relaxes out of the body's borders. Sensation is seen as weather in a vast sky. The knower is not localized in the cloud. Remain a few minutes more than is comfortable, not by force, but by fidelity. When the impulse comes to get busy, notice it and stay one breath longer, unmanaged. There will come a lightness, or not, a warmth, or not. Perhaps only a quiet decency that needs no report. Do not measure. Do not check the clock for miracles. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Silence is not a technique to control life. It is the condition in which the false bodily I dissolves. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. And in that presence, striving has nothing to do. Now let us be practical. A surge comes, the heart hammers, heat blooms in the chest, the breath shortens. Thoughts crowd and clamor for verdicts. The old habit says, I am in danger, I must be saved. But pause and ask the only saving question. What is actually threatened? If I is not in the body, what is panic trying to save? Is the I the hammering? Or is the hammering being noticed? Is the I the heat? Or is the heat appearing in awareness? Is the I the breath's tug? Or is the tug known? Now, answer soberly, not quickly. Is that me? Or is that what I am aware of? Let the inquiry become rhythmic, like tide over sand. The heart pounds. Is that me? No, not this pulse. The chest tightens. Is that me? No, not this band. Heat rises. Is that me? No, not this warmth. Breath stutters. Is that me? No, not this breath. A thought arrives. Something is wrong. Is that me? No, not this thought. A memory flashes. Last time it got worse. Is that me? No, not this memory. A prediction leaps. It will never stop. Is that me? No, not this prediction. A picture forms of collapse. Is that me? No, not this picture. The jaw clenches. Is that me? No, not this clench. The scalp prickles. Is that me? No, not this tingle. The voice inside pleads. I can't bear this. Is that me? No, not even this voice. I am not in the physical, absent from the body, present with the Lord. Do not argue with any of it. Do not fix the pulse. Do not bargain with the breath. Bear witness. Bear quiet witness. The very act of honest seeing withdraws the false decree, "This is me." And with the decree withdrawn, what remains? Sensation, yes, weather in a vast sky. But the sky is not the storm. Panic, stripped of its idol, is revealed as sensation plus interpretation. Remove the false me at the center, and interpretation collapses for lack of a subject to prosecute. The headline loses its reader. The messenger finds no recipient. The letter returns. No one at this address. You may say, but it still feels intense. Yes, sensation may continue for a time. But what is threatened by sensation when identity is not in it? If you cannot locate the threatened me, on what does fear place its hand? Touch your own honesty and see. Without a localized I, there is nothing to rescue and nothing to lose. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. In that oneness, security is not negotiated by pulse or proof. It is realized as presence. Be still and know that I am God. If a word is needed while the wave passes, let it be reverent and spare. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not as a charm, as a remembrance. Thy grace is my sufficiency when the heart is loud. Thy grace is my sufficiency when the breath is quick. Thy grace is my sufficiency when thoughts make laws they cannot enforce. And as you sit, not interfering, not appointing yourself savior of a body that is not your identity, notice how the compulsion to strive loosens. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Then even this surge stands aside, because it has no one to seize. Absent from the body, present with the Lord, here where fear has no foundation and sensation becomes a passing guest in the house of peace. And now, there comes that quiet, unmistakable moment to which all this receptivity has been tending. I can only call it the click. Not a bang, not a blaze of color, not a dizziness or a swoon. No, no. A click, so gentle you could miss it if you were hunting for drama. So sure you cannot deny it once you have learned its feel. It is the shift from waiting for God to thinking from God. It is no longer, I am seeking. It is, I am now consciously united with God. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. When the click comes, it is as if the center of gravity has moved out of personality into presence. Breathing is not managed, it is breathed. Thinking is not arranged. Wisdom simply shows itself as the next natural thing. There is a sense, still sober and tender, of being upheld without effort. Not lifted into ecstasy, upheld. Carried on a current that does not need your push. And at that instant, striving falls to the floor, because the very one who was straining is recognized as a fiction. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Do you see why this ends panic? When God is the doer, the body is relieved of an office it was never fit to hold. Manager of safety, broker of worth, arbiter of destiny. The pulse may quicken or slow, it no longer decides your peace. The muscles may sing or ache, they are not the keepers of your life. The click has said what cannot be unsaid. Life lives itself here. I of mine own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Be careful now. Do not turn the click into an object to chase. You cannot force it. You cannot bargain for it. The very hunt postpones it because the hunter is the illusion of a separate self trying to seize God for private use. Not a bit. We wait in a state of receptivity, desireless, honest, available, until, without our engineering, it comes. And when it does, there is no trumpet. There is recognition. You know, and you know that you know, and you need not tell anyone. How will you recognize the fruit? Compulsion loosens. The itch to fix, to argue, to manipulate, drops away for lack of an owner. The mind stops bargaining with tomorrow. The body is cared for as a servant, but no longer enthroned as a god. A sweetness of sufficiency pervades the ordinary hour. In my oneness with God, I find rest. In my oneness with God, I find guidance. In my oneness with God, I find safety that is not negotiated by conditions. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let the words pass. Keep the fact. When the click has come, even for a breath, it plants a certainty deeper than emotion. It will not make you spectacular. It will make you simple. It will not make you important. It will make you transparent. And from that transparency, life proceeds of itself, quiet, efficient, loving, because the self that lives you is the only self there is. Be still and know that I am God. There is a reason the soul bows before law, not man's decree, but the law that is before man. As you sow, so shall you reap. This is not condemnation. It is the architecture of harmony. It does not sit in judgment. It simply is. Do not tamper with a cosmic law. It is a double-edged sword. It blesses in its own nature, and it exposes the lie by letting the lie consume itself. The law is not angry. It is accurate. It is the same yesterday, today, and forever, because it is not personal will. It is the order by which spirit reveals itself. Consider how plain this is in every common field. Violate mathematics, and you do not insult a professor. You collide with principle. 2 times 2 is 4. Refuse it, and the account books betray you. The bridge falls at the sum. Do you see? Break an engineering law, and no policeman arrives. Gravity arrives. The girders protest, and the span yields to the truth it ignored. Run the red light, and the consequence is not moral scolding. It is impact. It is the same with a traffic law. The penalty is not vengeance. It is the fruit of a seed sown in disregard of order. No. There can be no selfish purpose in a cosmic law. Now bring this home to the inner life. When we try to use spirituality as a lever, to control others, to secure superiority, to force outcomes, we do not touch God, we tighten fear. Why? Because we have made of law a private tool, and in that very act we confess separation. Separation breeds anxiety. Manipulation hides a secret belief. I am alone. I must compel life to favor me. That seed cannot yield peace. It yields guarding, defending, boasting, and then the quiet ache that asks at midnight, what if I lose it? You see the penalty. It is built into the act. The moment I attempt to put God to work for a personal program, I have enthroned a false god, the body self, and I reap its harvest. Restlessness, suspicion, and the need to keep the wheel turning. Not a bit of peace in it. This is why I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. I never give human advice. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. When I remain transparent, the law bears me as a current bears a leaf, without self-design, without recoil. But the instant I project, compel, send thought out to rearrange persons or conditions, I step outside the clique and into a private will. Then the law, impersonal and kind, restores balance by letting my own strain deliver its outcome. Fatigue, confusion, fear, suffering as teacher, not as punishment. Hear the mercy in this. The law is protective. It keeps us from the ruin of our cleverness. Sow love, and you cannot reap war in your heart. Sow honesty, and you cannot reap the dread of being found out. Sow surrender, and you cannot reap the terror of maintaining a facade. In my oneness with God, I find sufficiency. In my oneness with God, I find order without pressure. Peace is never the fruit of manipulation. Peace is the fruit of alignment. One God, no other gods. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Be still, and let the law carry you. Then even outcomes cease to frighten, because the doer is God, and the harvest is himself. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thou shalt have no other gods but one. Do not hurry past those words as if they refer to wooden idols or ancient altars. Bring them home. What are the gods we bow to now? The God of health, measured hourly, guarded anxiously. The God of appearance, polished, compared, defended. The God of nervous control, breath commanded, posture patrolled, every twitch interpreted as omen. And then the whisper, if I can get this body to obey, to look right, to feel right, then I will be safe. Do you see? An altar has been built. The candles are lit. The offerings are made. And the worshiper is weary, because the idol never gives peace. Not a bit. I am not condemning care. I am unveiling worship disguised as self-care. Watch how it behaves. Constant monitoring, constant correcting, constant bargaining. If I do this regimen, if I avoid that food, if I achieve that number, then anxiety will cease. But anxiety is the sacristan of the idol. It attends every service. You see the penalty already present in the practice. The body is enthroned as a god, and the mind is sentenced to priesthood, forever officiating, forever suspicious, forever secretly afraid that the deity will rebel. That is not care. That is bondage. When the body is a god, it becomes a prison. Now hear the reorientation that sets the captive free. Seek ye first the kingdom of God within, and all these things shall be added unto you. The commandment is not harsh, it is merciful. Put God first, not health, not beauty, not control. Put God first, and the body finds its right place as a servant, a holy instrument, but never a ruler. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. I am not in the physical. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. When this is no longer a phrase, but a felt fact, the compulsion to manage the body as a deity loosens. Care remains, but worship ends. Discipline remains, but dread departs. No, we do not neglect the instrument. We cease adoring it. What changes when God is first? The mind's tyranny relaxes. The clock loses its throne. The mirror stops preaching. Food ceases to be a tribunal. Breath no longer needs a sheriff. A new prayer takes the place of the old bargaining. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in sensation and in silence. Thy grace is my sufficiency in appetite and in rest. Thy grace is my sufficiency when the body sings and when it is dull. We are returned to receptivity. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. In that humility, the click is near because will has stepped down from the altar. Test this the next time the body clamors for centrality. The twinge appears. The thought rushes. Fix it now or else. Pause. Be still and know that I am God. Ask quietly, who is the I that must be saved by this ritual? If the threatened I cannot be located in the flesh, the altar cracks. The incense clears. The idol is seen as carved from fear and habit. In that sight, right action, simple, kind, intelligent, presents itself without compulsion. You may rest. You may move. You may call a helper. You may drink water. But you will not worship. You will not bow to the body as destiny. And in that moment, the prison door is open. When the body stops being a god, it stops being a prison. It becomes what it was meant to be, a lamp on a stand, not the light itself, a flute, not the breath, a servant, not a master. Seek first the kingdom, and let the rest be added. In my oneness with God, I find order without pressure. In my oneness with God, I find sufficiency without clutching. In my oneness with God, I find the gentle government that relieves me of priesthood to a nervous deity. One God, no other gods. Love thy neighbor as thyself, and let the body take its right place in that love, honored, tended, and free of a throne. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Now watch how panic and striving creep back. Not through pain or appetite this time, but through the neighbor standing beside you. The isolated me, believing itself confined to a body, feels cut off from supply. It must compete. It must prove. It must secure. Its peace is always future and always conditional. It compares the flesh, the bank account, the reputation. It calculates, it guards, it subtly resents. Do you see the strain? Separation invents scarcity. Scarcity appoints fear as the foreman. Fear drives the inner war. No, no, this is not the fruit of spirit. This is the harvest of a belief in twos and threes, in private lives at odds with one another. What happens when oneness becomes not a sentence, but a fact? My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Then sufficiency is not a pie to divide. It is a spring that does not diminish when another drinks. The moment I know that the living God is my life, your success cannot reduce me. When I want nothing you have, and you want nothing I have, the very possibility of war disappears, within and without. Envy has no oxygen. Rivalry has no stage. Comparison has no jury. Why? Because identity has moved out of matter into spirit. I am not in the physical. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. In that presence, what could I steal? What could I defend? What could I fear to lose when the giver is the gift? Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Take it literally now, not as your ideal, but as your self. The same life, the same I, wearing other features, playing another phrase on the same breath. If I and the Father are one, and my neighbor and the Father are one, where is the border? Love ceases to be a moral project and becomes recognition. I am not appointed to improve you, to outshine you, to manage you. I am appointed to behold you in the same light that beholds me. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Feel the practical fruit. Defensiveness relaxes because there is nothing private to conceal. The handshake is not a hook. The smile is not a sail. Speech becomes clean. Yes means yes, and no means no, without hidden taxes. Cooperation appears of itself because ideas meet in one mind and find their fit. Even the nervous system notices. The gut loosens. The breath is breathed without your sheriff at its door. Comparison's courtroom closes for the day and never opens again, because the judge has found only one life at the bar. Test it in a small hour. Praise arises for another's good. Let it be pure. Do not snatch it back with a private audit. Whisper, "Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. His good is thy grace, my good is thy grace, and thy grace fails none." If jealousy taps at the window, ask gently, "Is that me?" No, not this story. If pride swells, ask, "Is that me?" No, not this pose. Then rest, and from resting, act. You will find yourself doing simple, kind, efficient things without strategy because love has no scheme. In my oneness with God, I find ease in your blessing. In my oneness with God, I find my own work without pushing, my own place without defense, my own portion without a rival. One God, no other gods. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Oneness, expressed as love, dissolves the inner struggle that separation keeps alive. Be still and know that I am God. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let us be very plain here. Do not tamper. Do not try to project yourself, to dominate minds, to send thoughts, to bend circumstances by spiritual leverage. Do not use meditation to make life obey you. That is not this way. That is not God. The quickest path back to fear is to turn spirit into a tool. The instant you attempt to use God, you confess a separate self that must secure results. And with that confession, anxiety returns to collect its wages. No, no. Not a bit of peace comes from that. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts, and I hope you will never try to do them. I never give human advice. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. If a work is to be done, the Father within doeth the works. Our safety is non-interference. We do not reach out to arrange a brother or a condition. We do not treat persons as if they were problems to be fixed. We behold God. We relinquish personal will. We enter the inner sanctuary and wait, desireless, attentive, until the click, and then we allow what is given to be given, without our embroidery. Why such restraint? Because there can be no selfish purpose in a cosmic law. As you sow, so shall you reap. It is not a judge's anger, it is principle. You violate 2 times 2 is 4, and the bridge collapses at the sum. Try to run a red light, and it is not a policeman who avenges, it is impact. Attempt to use law to exalt a private self, and the built-in penalty arises. Strain, suspicion, the dread of losing what was never yours. Manipulation says, "I must make it happen." Oneness says, "I am carried." Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Present, not pushing. aware, not arranging. What may you do? You may enter silence. You may let the body cease from centrality. You may surrender the outcome and listen. You may obey the quiet nudge that appears unannounced. Make a call. Keep still. Bake bread. Speak a clean no. Offer a word, or offer none. But do not scheme. Do not claim authorship. Let it be simple, unforced, without a private price tag. Let the blessing remain God's blessing, not your accomplishment. Keep the heart low and the hands open. Whisper, "Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things," and mean it. Thy grace, not my tactics. Thy flow, not my push. This is your safety. Restraint keeps the channel clear. Non-interference preserves innocence. Spiritual ambition makes a new idol and crowns it with holy language. Surrender removes the crown and leaves only God. In my oneness with God, I find order without pressure, guidance without plotting, sufficiency without clutching. Not projection, not control, not occult work. Surrender, receptivity, obedience. Be still and know that I am God. Then the work is pure because the worker is God, and fear has no office to return to. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let this be the simple password you carry into every room of your day. Not a charm to push life into shape, not a handle on God. A password, quiet, reverent, that opens remembrance. You say it once or twice, not to summon a power from afar, but to uncover the presence that is never absent. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then be still. You are not speaking to regulate the pulse or to banish a heat in the chest. You are allowing the body to step down from its throne and take its right place as servant. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. When a wave returns, do not argue with it. Do not measure it. Do not bargain. Let the phrase be a soft placing of the head upon the pillow of God. Whisper within, "Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things." Each word is a withdrawal of identity from sensation. Each word is a returning to, "I am not in the physical." Each word is a step back from the edge into the vastness that is already holding you. Repeat it as resting, not as effort, as surrender, not as command. Then fall into listening. Be still and know that I am God. If the heart is loud, thy grace is my sufficiency. If the breath is quick, thy grace is my sufficiency. If the mind parades predictions and pictures, thy grace is my sufficiency. Not to erase the weather, but to stand as the sky. Not to conquer the body, but to remember you are not in it. And as remembrance steadies, the compulsion to fix, to hurry, to manage, loses its oxygen. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Let the fruit be known by its quietness. In my oneness with God, I find completeness without reaching. In my oneness with God, I find security without defense. In my oneness with God, I find peace that does not consult conditions. In my oneness with God, I find quiet joy in the ordinary hour. In my oneness with God, I find guidance without strain, order without pressure, sufficiency without clutching. No, no, This is not an achievement. It is recognition. And if you forget, if you are drawn back into the little room of the body and its reports, do not scold yourself. Return. 70 times 7, return. You have as much right to forgive yourself 70 times 7 as to forgive your neighbor. Each return is not a failure. It is practice in non-local living. Each return clears the altar of the false god and leaves only God. Say the password softly, and let shame be refused admittance. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then drop the words and keep the fact. Let the mantra lay you down in silence. Let it unhook the hands from the levers. Let it carry you to the click when it will, and leave you content if it does not. One God, no other gods. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Be still, and let the realization live you. Now we gather the thread, and it is a single, quiet strand. You were never in the body as a vulnerable object. You cannot be lost there. You can only forget for a moment and then remember. Identity was never lodged in pulse or posture. I am not in the physical. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. When this is not just said but seen, panic and striving have no office, because the claimant, the little me who must conquer, has been found without tenure. The end of panic and striving is not conquest. It is the still recognition of what you eternally are. Let us be simple now. Rest is awareness. Allow the body to be as it is, without promotion and without defense. Let thoughts pass as birds cross a sky that does not keep their mark. Let sensations come and go like weather upon a sea that is not disturbed in its depth. Do not consult yesterday. Do not bargain with tomorrow. Knock gently within and wait. No, no, do not hunt the click. Do not appoint an hour. Sit as one who already is home. And if the click comes, it will come as it always does. Without trumpet, without hurry, without your management. Only as a sure, small certainty. I and the Father are one. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Now seal this hour in prayer, not to secure a favor, but to confess a fact. I am that I am. I and the Father are one. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. In my oneness with God, I find completeness without reaching, security without defense, order without pressure, guidance without strain. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let the words fade, but keep the fact. Be still, and know that I am God. Carry nothing out of this silence but gratitude and a willingness to return. Seek God alone. Knock at the door of your own consciousness, not for spectacle, not for power, but for recognition. Practice daily, not as duty to earn, but as love answering love. Keep to the law. One God, no other gods. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Do not tamper, do not arrange, do not interfere. Let life reorder itself from the inside out as the click has its way. If a step is given, take it without drama. If none is given, rest without guilt. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. And as you go, let this be your gentle remembrance when waves return. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then drop the words and keep the light. Let the realization live you. Let it think, speak, bless, heal, govern, and fulfill itself as you. I am that I am. I and the Father are one. And I thank you.